Team NV versus Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Game 4.
Maru versus Rogue. Maru must 2-0. If Maru does not 2-0, then this series is done. On the top left-hand side, our blue Terran player here is Maru. And in the bottom right of Berlingrad again, funnily enough, is going to be Rogue. So let me quickly explain why Berlingrad gets played twice again, just in case you're kind of wondering. So, the last time they played, obviously that was the third life of Team NV. Maru lost map 1, and then map 2 was Maru's map pick. He picked Berlingrad, he lost again. But that just meant that DPG didn't lose a life, and so Team NV lost a life. This is now their fourth life, so it's essentially a new series. Each new series, or each new life that's played for, has a predetermined first map, and it just so happens that this one is Berlingrad, so that's why we go back-to-back on Berlingrad here. Because this obviously didn't necessarily have to be Maru coming back again, right? I mean, it didn't necessarily have to be Rogue surviving. Obviously, in this case, we're going to have that very weird situation. It doesn't happen a lot where two players play back-to-back on the same map. Pretty much only ever see this, I guess, in a format like this, or maybe if they draw map 1, then they play again. That is actually kind of funny that you know, I don't know if I've ever casted outside of a draw some guys playing back-to-back on the same map. Not to the best of my memory as we get this underway. Reaper and an orbital command coming through as expected here early. Looked like Maru was kind of talking himself up a little bit at the very start here. I mean, if nothing else, even if you can't get the entire way through this, I mean, you gotta just take it one game at a time at this point, but I feel like even just getting a map win, right? Try and deny Rogue his all kill. Maybe that's just something worth playing for, you know? Try and deny Rogue his all kill, stop Rogue from being able to win the entire thing. Take away a little bit of Rogue's confidence, you know? Maybe there's some value to stopping that from happening. Maybe Maru doesn't like Rogue, I don't know. They used to be teammates. They used to be pretty good friends, I think, when they're on the same team. Well, the Lings, the Queens, on the way out. The Reaper does catch a drone on the third hatchery location, and it is going to force it to become an extractor. Also funny, just because of how fast this series might be. Yesterday at this time, 4.5 hours in, we were just... Oh, sorry, 5 hours in? I guess it wasn't 5 hours in, but we... The two matches today might be finished in the time it pretty much took us to do one match yesterday. So, a bit of a comparison on that one. As you see, the Reaper doing a good job of delaying the third base from coming down here from Rogue. See a couple questions about the Chinese stream, guys. The Chinese numbers are hard to get, but the only numbers that we do have is there's 15,000 plus paid viewers. That doesn't include all the people who are not paid viewers. So you're talking about tens of thousands of people tuning in to watch the World Team League Finals over on the Chinese stream. This is a Chinese event. Which is pretty crazy. Like I say, if you didn't hear me talk about it earlier as well, the prize pool for this tournament was doubled by sales of merchandise. They made 1,000 WTL boxes. And the 1,000 WTL boxes sold out, $40 to $50 each, I believe, and doubled the prize pool of the tournament. Reaper and the two Hellions working their way around that right-hand side, trying to see if they can get anything going for themselves, as Maru is opening up with the starport and a Viking on the way out. So no 3CC or anything. This Marine going to start working on the Ovi as that makes its way along. As the Viking comes through and just going to be having that Overlord being denied. So Overlord gets to see, first of all, the Viking, and then he got to see a second unit starting on the starport without an add-on. Sorry, there is a 3CC. I am blind. I swear, I looked in the minimap and I just couldn't see it at all. My apologies, guys. There is a third CC. I will correct myself. So the starport is obviously after that. So he starts the medevac to make it maybe look like a Liberator, when in reality it's not going to be a Liberator. It's just going to be an add-on. But that's just to fake out the scout there to Rogue. So nice little bit of a fake out As this Viking is going to go in after this OV. Doesn't quite get it. So just some light pressure off the back of the 3cc. As we do make our way forward, and just a couple of grenades going down, and Queen's getting bopped back. Viking just damaging an Overlord there. So a little bit of damage being done. Just going to see our Hellions pressing forward. Just going to see a couple of things being picked up. I'm just going to see Queen's taking some damage also. Kings and Queens out in the center. Hellions run up the left-hand side, and we are going to see a creep team again picked off pretty much immediately. Queen's taking some shots, and just going to be seeing our Hellions again keeping up the pressure as best as possible at the moment. That's, for the most part, all you can really ask for, you know? Keep up the pressure, do what you can. Units from Maru are going to start moving down through the center. Roach speed coming up, 1-1 missile upgrades and carapace upgrade coming through. Additional roaches are all on the way in here as well. As the Hellions get there, the Queens, they'll push those Hellions back a little bit. Let's come back up, and this time they will grab a creep teamer as well. So able to grab that creep teamer too. Again, roaches, 1-1 missile upgrades, all of that continuing in at the moment. Obviously, Rogue has maps to play with here, right? This is a Terran map, so much so Maru picked it for his loser's pick in the last time, the last match. So, why not try some roaches? Do something a bit different. Maybe just go for the roach attack, see if it can break you. Bring back some bad Marys from Maru for that GSL finals that was very roach-focused. And if it doesn't work, then you get your map pick to maybe play something Ling Bane-focused again, which obviously worked very well for Rogue in the previous 2 games as well, so... And there's also that too, right? Just changing it up for the fact that we've played a bunch of games in a row against each other now. Changing it up helps you out. Makes your opponent less aware of the changes they need to make, that, what they need to change in their play to kind of fix what happened last time. Always fun to see those differences kind of build on up here. As you do see some Marines going to stim up the ramp, and the Roaches will be in some trouble. Taking quite a lot of damage, actually, these Roaches, and that's back in that case, it's a lot of damage. Marines now do lift back into the medevacs, and they will escape away through the top side. That was not bad. Good few Roaches going down, reducing that Roach number. Problem is, any units you lose here from Maru means less available for this large attack coming in from Rogue right now. There's 5 Ravagers, so not a lot of biles available initially. He doesn't drop enough biles on the top side siege tank, so the top side tank doesn't die. Here come the SCVs. A lot of the time, this is very much so just a situation of, okay, these biles were horrible from Rogue. This is a lot of the time a situation of, if you just clean up this army, you are completely fine and you win the game because the Zerg is so committed. This was horrible from Rogue. The fact he didn't kill the top siege tank, even though he dropped 2 biles on it, didn't drop a 3rd, and he still just missed with further bile. I mean, yeah, you need to do better than that. You can't let all of the siege tanks survive this, because now any follow-up wave of aggression you have is not going to be enough, because there's going to be so many tanks there. It's just not even going to be a contest. Yeah, so not a good attack on that one. Just going to be seeing that Baneless coming up on that right side. Overlords are still sitting up in the center. Infestation Pit, Hydra Den, Roach coming on through as they do cancel or reset. Just going to see how Roaches and Ravagers moving through. Corrosive Biles are going to be firing away, and just going to be seeing this army of Maru. I mean, being very aggressive moving out into the center of the map, but maybe a little bit overeager. I mean, say center of the map, he was just moving out from his base a little bit. It's something that Maru did during the GSL final, right? He had one of the... Did they play on Oxide? And I believe on Oxide, Maru had a really good hold, and then he was like, right, I'm going to move across the map into wave 2 of the attack, and then Rogue just absolutely destroyed him. So yeah, Maru just maybe even overly eager to get onto the map here and to make something happen. Oh, Lurker Den and a Hive starts on up, so just going to be getting the Lurker Den and Hive on the way. Rogue attempting to make his way through into the lurkers on the back of the Roach Ravager, but of a start like this, it's never really easy. You know, you often feel like you get into this situation where you are... I mean, basically, if you look at this from the point of view of Rogue right now, you know, he didn't really do much damage initially. If he gets 2 lurkers, I mean, he still has to get to the lurker upgrades. And Maru has a good army to just push with, right? You don't have a lot to stop him pushing with because you're stuck on Roach Ravager, and your next tech isn't ready yet. That's what you're trying to hold, you know, buy time for. Let's reduce him in, and just going to see that hatchery cancel. The drone goes down. Marines continue to stem ahead, and going to turn onto the Evo chambers now. Missiles goes down. The Carapace upgrade denied as well, so denying the upgrades of Rogue. Just another slap in the face for this game, as Rogue just can't seem to this time get a victory going for himself. So Maru is looking to take the first step in a long road to recovery for Team NV in this grand finals, and it is a long road to recovery. High army still stemming forward. Roach Ravager backs away to the right side. Still pressing through. A few corrosive files dropping down. Fungal growth goes down. A couple of units getting caught. Obviously the Fungal's trying to buy you some time as well. Trying to let those lurkers get into play, if at all possible. Again, when you find these lurkers right now, you just have so many tanks that... I mean, mostly you just can't bring the lurkers forward because the lurkers would come forward with the Roach Ravager. It's clunky, you're running into tank lines. And the Roach has just got annihilated over on the right side there. Maru defending the counterattack and just continue to push forwards. He's going to continue to carve his way through into the bases of Rogue. He's going to get Blinding Cloud on the bio and then on the siege tanks as well. He actually unsieges the tanks so you can pull them back. Parasitic Bomb also on the medevac, because the Vipers were a little bit of a surprise for Maru, and he wasn't really set up to have to deal with Vipers, but now he will know about them a little bit better and be more aware of them. It's unlikely that Rogue will find that kind of value a second time around. We got the top right base that will fall, and just going to be seeing a few Broodlings pressing forward to try and make something happen themselves. A couple of Vipers here will be trying to see what they can get up to as well. Not a lot really just yet. This kind of goes down. A few blue teamers getting picked off. As Maru is max, going to see the Nidus network on the way up here from Rogue. If he can get the Nidus network up and running, get that into play, yeah, maybe the Nidus gives you some chance. If you got Nidus in the main base, you get some lurkers in the main. That, of course, requires Maru making a little bit of a mistake and not dealing with the Nidus properly or effectively. So it does kind of involve a Maru mistake, but I suppose we'll see if it happens or not. There's the Overseer that's going to try and set it up. There's already a Sensor Tower that's going to see that. Did he just lose the Nidus? Oh no. Well, Overseer's going to turn back around. That'll come in again later as you see the... look, he has survived in a while. Finally, a snipe gets off. And just canceling a few of those snipes for a little bit. As Lurker over on the other side. Rogue doing the right things to try and get damage done and bring himself back into it, right? I mean, not just going to let himself die easily. He will fight until his dying breath. And for the moment, he's... well, he was looking okay. This fight didn't go as hard. He lost a lot of supply in this one. He just parasitic bombed his own Overlord. Don't think that was the play, Broke. I don't think that's what he was trying to do either. Parasitic bomb on your own Overlord probably doesn't work very well. Seven lurkers all still coming up. Couple crew teams coming through. We actually have Ghosts and a medevac going in to snipe the attempted scout forward for the Nidus, so that's going to be completely shut down already. And we do just have a new base setting up for Maru, going up to base 5 here. As Rogue will attempt a few Zerglings moving on forward and try and get in, but doesn't really find anything. It was just a leftover parasitic bomb, was it really? It just looked like it was moving with the Overlord, no? I really thought it was, I thought he was just, I thought it was moving with the Overlord, but I must have misseen it. My apologies. Lucas have moved up into this planetary forest range. Moves them into position to try and kill the SCVs and gets a chunk of them. Goes taking damage, but not fast enough to actually die. I mean, this is cool until you realize you lose all of those lurkers, right? And that's just way too expensive. You can't justify that cost for a handful of SCVs. If you took all the ghosts down as well, then sure, that wouldn't have been so bad. Well, Fungal on a single ghost to the front again. Rogue trying to utilize the spellcasters in a way that allows him to, again, pull himself back from what is a very tough position. He's got Lurker's whole position middle of the map. That's, again, definitely something that can do something. He's going to try and find these ghosts there, and we're going to see all but one of them go down, so they find something at least. Of course, Maru is pushing the right side, and I'm not sure if Rogue has any units actually over here to hold on, so it might not matter. As Maru just pushes in, looking for the first map in. Will have to be a slew of many to get back in this series. Rogue types GG. He will not get the 7-0. Maru will keep Team NV alive for the moment, but geez, there's a long way to go. Really, it was kind of cool listening to them talk. How come Wardy never dresses up as Dragon Ball characters? I mean, you guys just don't pay me enough. I'm not paid for that, you know. Maru in the upper right. The map pick was Glittering Ashes. Not really too surprised. We have seen a lot of Hardwire picked instead of Glittering Ashes lately. Rogue just going to pick Glittering. I mean, he just got full control of this game last time with the Lingbei Muta. We'll see what style he wants to play this time around. Of course, Rogue still just needs to win this map. Even though Maru won the first one, that means that DPG will lose a life. But if Rogue wins this map, NV also lose a life, and it's NV's last life. So Rogue still just needs this map to win the series and the tournament for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Team NV, well, Maru needs to win this and stay alive. He can't lose that last life, and that's why it's so tough. He has to get this 2-0, then 2 more 2-0s, and then the series is evened up. He has to undo all of the work that Rogue has done so far. Is he going down the natural? Just going to be seeing a hatchery casting pool coming up. Is really intrigued if Rogue just plays the same kind of Lingbei Muta style, or if he will change it up here for this second go of it. Kind of funny we play the same 2 maps just in reverse order, right? And just funny because obviously those, you know, Glitter and Ashes, then Berlingrad, those were predetermined maps for the first map of each of these series, and then, you know, obviously the loser's pick has been Berlingrad and then Glitter and Ashes, as Maru picked the Berlingrad and Rogue picked the Glitter and Ashes. They both basically got their preferred map choice for the, you know, the first map the other way around. Well, obviously, Rogue won on Maru's map last time. Now it's time for Maru to win on Rogue's map. Honestly, I mean, he just lost control of the game very quickly last time when he played on Glitter and Ashes. He was out on the map. He was being fairly aggressive, right? He was out on the map being aggressive, putting some damage out, and he just wasn't ready for the Ling Muta to go counterattacking straight into his base, basically. If he takes Rogue out now, his chance to extend this is much higher. I don't disagree, but I do think... Sorry, again, the Chinese friends are just popping off today. I do think the next map is the biggest issue after this, right? Because then you have to play Pride of Altaris. And then, so, I mean, that's the issue, right? Pride of Altaris is next. So say they send Dark on Pride. First you have to beat Dark on Pride, and if you beat Dark on Pride, then you have to beat Dark on his map pick as well. Like, that's what's so brutal about falling behind and needing to get these 2-0s. You're playing on, in theory, at least once in every 2-0, you're at least playing on the worst possible map for you. And next time around, it would definitely be probably 2 times the worst possible maps for you. So it's more than just overcoming the odds. It's like all of the odds are stacked against you. But, I mean, yes, if you beat Rogue, it definitely, I think, becomes a little easier. If he beats Rogue and wins Pride, then I'll be a believer. You know? Then I'll be a believer. Let's see. I really had my hopes dashed as well. I was so hyped for Mara, I really believed. And he lost the 2-0 initially. I'm just like, nope. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, indeed. Fusion Core on the way up, so Maru's going to play something different. Maybe Maru plays mech. That's something we've been talking about. Players switching up the mech play and bringing that into play. That's a possibility. That'd be kind of fun. As our fourth gas pretty much confirms that this will be mech instead of just a battle cruiser, so fourth gas very early on here. Second will kill off the Ovi. And a lot of Hellions work their way around the far left-hand side, so all the Hellions working their way around the left. It's going to be seeing BC starting up on the side of Maru, as we'll see very soon how Rogue deals with this. Bane Nest and a Lair, I mean, that's the safe opening, right? You get the Bane Nest up for aggression, you get the Lair going so you can get detection, and obviously in this case a fast Spire will be nice to deal with the incoming, but what will be an incoming increasing number of battle cruisers. There are the 2 extra factories as well, by the way, so we get confirmation of that as well. But the extra BCs will indeed be on the way through right now. We will indeed be seeing this mech play. Very, very fun. It's different as well, right? Like I say, it's something which Maru has been doing. Honestly, for a while I felt like Maru was the only player that could play mech and be successful with it. And even then I was not still a fan of it a lot of the time, but yeah, we do have the evolution chambers at the front. Going to be done fairly soon. Factories are going to be finishing. The 2 armories are on the way in. Our factory drops down over on the tech lab in the main base. The PC, I don't know why we're not watching it, is across the map killing some drones. So 5 workers going down initially. 7? I mean, 7 workers is nice, but BC is obviously pretty hurt, so we'll unlikely be able to come back and go again for too much more. BC is going to go after that Overlord. The Phalanx speed coming up, melee and missile upgrades both coming through as well. And just another Overlord taking some damage there, as we have got the Battlecruiser upgrades. And again, more BCs coming out. Look at what Rogue's building, melee and missile upgrades. I'll drop a Rotron, has the Spire coming up. He has the right setup. Just sort of disregards the carapace for now and says, yeah, I'm going to have some Lings and so on involved, and some Banes maybe, so I would like the melee upgrades and the missile upgrades instead of any of the carapace upgrades. Playing us back around the left, just going to be seeing a hatchery still coming through. It's about halfway done. Yeah, Hellions going to be running in underneath those mutas. Muta's going to grab onto the Hellions pretty quickly. Just seeing our +1 vehicle and plating upgrades coming in as well in the armories. Muta's still heading up to the top side. This is going to dive for the natural. Going to take a turn towards the 3rd base. That's going to go and get a siege tank here pretty quickly. So siege tank is going to get picked up. And this is where Maru obviously might be having some trouble. And mutas were kind of a fun addition here from Rogue. Obviously, when you're talking about fighting against BCs, a lot of the time you're going to go for the Corruptors. But going mutas, they're less reliable against the BCs, but they do add on that aggression otherwise that you wouldn't really have from the Corruptors. They're much more fast-moving too. And Rogue seems pretty serious about making this muta style have some sort of an impact in this game, so definitely wants to try and get something done with it. There's a couple of Banes work their way through those rocks, opening up the map even further here. Oh, it's a nice Widow Mine placement. Just going to get a shot off and soften up the mutas, make them easier targets for the future. Oh, wow. Rogue's going to play Swarm Host, so Swarm Host is something you don't see a lot nowadays versus mech. And the reason being is because the BCs are very good against them. Now, the BCs are still on the map. If he'd cleaned out the BCs and went Swarm Host, I would have kind of been more, you know, I could have been all about that. But now going Swarm Host with the BC still alive, that's interesting. He's going to try and dive in with the mutas. Again, the funny thing about mutas is if these were corruptors, this BC would have had to teleport much sooner. And the mutas are way less tanky. So the mutas start to go down much faster as well. We force the teleports out of there. Rogue gets the desired effect. It just costs him a little bit more, and it takes him a little bit longer to do so. The aliens running up over this side, and we'll find some Zerglings. The Sling Bane Force will not do much, but here comes the first wave of Swarm Hosts. I just don't really agree with the Ling Bane continuing forward. They're not really doing much. We are going to dive in with the Locusts. I mean, they get like a siege tank. Not really a lot, as the mutas will come around and pick away at a couple of these Widow Mines, so definitely a weird situation, because you're also going to see the Mutalisk continuing through, right? I mean, more mutas on the way out. We only built like 8 Swarm Hosts or so, so it's not even like they're in crazy, overwhelming numbers either. It's kind of crazy. Cyclones are here. Mutas again pushed back. The Hellions coming around. The Thor moving out the front there as well. Also getting involved for a little bit. And just going to see a chunk of Banelings morphing in. Extra Lings coming through. Mutas are going to come forward and try and push those Hellions back a little bit. Both players are going to get maxed out. Rogue's going to use the Nidus networks around the map to give these Swarm Hosts something more of a chance to make things happen. You just dive in. They take a lot of shots right away, take a lot of damage pretty much immediately, but not really ideal, is it? Let's see how Logan's coming through, and I'm going to be continuing in. Looking for some pressure. BCs are going to be teleporting into the main base to defend against the Nidus. It's just Lings, which are going to get quite a few SCVs. I kind of like that, actually, right? Cheap and effective. 17 SCVs going down. Maru was on 90 workers, though, so... I mean, oh, he was actually almost on 100 workers, so actually losing almost 20 SCVs doesn't hurt him all too much. Of course, one thing that Maru has not been able to do is really do much on Rogue's side of the map. Rogue is absolutely keeping Maru pinned in, but he needs to, because that's what Rogue's composition is about. If he had to fight this army in any sort of real straight-up way, he'd be in a crap ton of trouble. It's working because he's just throwing units at his opponents. That almost might be too many units, right? Considering he's got mutas and swarm hosts, his standing army is not good for fighting. He just threw banelings at a mineral line. Kills a planetary. Maru's going to push because of it, and, well, the question is, can Rogue rebuild in time? Can he get enough up to deal with this attack? The swarm host will be off cooldown, I guess, shortly. I haven't seen them fire for a little bit, so swarm host will be ready soon. Oh, a couple BCs are going to get Yamato's. That go to of the swarm host before the fire comes in. Lings are going to start running into this. I mean, a little bit haphazardly and a little bit too early. Corruptor's now on the way too, as he's maybe realizing he needs something proper to fight against these battle cruisers. Mutas probably ain't going to get the job done, as we see the forward base of Rogue going to go down, so the cost of going for that base of Maru is that he's going to lose the base of his own here. Locust will drop in, the Thor goes down. Bats will grab this hatchery. And the Lings across the map going to get a whole bundle of SCVs, so I mean the counterattack at least from Rogue is good. I was down to, I say only, but 67 workers. It's a long stretch from where he once was in this game. Thor's still pressing forward. Just going to see how Ling's coming through. Hellions picking away. BC's. Sorry, Thor's picking off this hatchery. Rogue is going to come through and clean up a lot of these last few units of Maru. It's actually pretty bad. Those Thors on their own, if they get caught by Lings, that's a lot of supply that just gets taken down. I can't believe Rogue is kind of just letting them waltz away. They're unprotected. Rogue drops right back down. As you see, the storm was still coming through. Another Nidus out in the front. The BCs still moving around. Here come Mutas and Corruptors to dive on the BCs. Because it's not a lot of Corruptors, you still just don't really get the damage output you need there. So the BCs just get the shots off the Armados, you kill off some Corruptors, you teleport away. MARU'S back to being maxed out. Some scary moments. I really thought those Thors were going to go down, and maybe this was going to be maybe a little too Rogue favored, but the supplies have evened out once again. Here come our Locusts dropping down. Thors are going to be immediately in trouble here. As they have Hellions diving by, and they're going to get a few drones as well, so finally MARU feels like it's been a long time since he did anything apart from kill that forward base. He is keeping some pressure on the map. In the middle here at the moment, we have Thors pressing forward, and so this army of MARU is making its way through. The couple of Thors still firing, Overlord taking hits. And now the Thors are going to come through, and this hatchery is going to be in some trouble as well, so that's going to be also dropping down dead. A few more corrosive files, and the Thors have no choice other than to split apart from each other. Again, the question always comes down to, can Rogue clean out the army of MARU, because this is a terrifying army, mass Thor. If you don't have the units to actually take those Thors down, this becomes problematic very quickly. The Locusts are going to try and catch the Thors here as they fly across. They will go diving in, but I don't know if they're going to have the surround or the speed they need. Okay, they're going to be okay to take down one. The other as well, the Roach Ravager coming in to help. MARU'S army just continues down to the south, though. There is something of a counterattack across the map as well for Rogue. Just some lings that the BCs are dealing with. I believe there's a Nidus now finishing up in the main base in a second, so that's something that we'll have to see if it can do anything from here. As right now, the BCs are there to clean it up, so it looks like, well, Rogue will probably not get much out of the Nidus. A few battle cruisers, I just keep saying battle cruisers. Wow, a few of these corrosive files are landing on the Thors. They're taking damage, but Rogue having to rebuild Roaches at the moment. He needs this round of Locusts to come through. He needs to kill these Thors this time, I think, by the way. If these Thors don't die here, he really does have a lot of units on his front doorstep. He kills one and another is very low. The Locusts went all in sync. That's obviously a bit of a shame as well. He does get the second Thor, but so many just sat on his front doorstep. Rogue doesn't have a lot of cash left over anymore. Rogue's in actually a really rough position here. There's going to be seeing our Mutas working their way up through the top side. The Thors come through, by Ravager getting picked away at. This army of MARU still trying to move on forward. He's come down the left side. Roach Ravager joined up. I mean, what do you do? I guess you got to launch some counterattacks. Definitely stop reinforcements from getting across here and try and slowly chip your way through this Thor counter. Make your way through the unit count of your opponent. Locust dropping in again. Just going to be seeing a few corrosive files landing. We're not really on anything too amazing across the map. These Thors, guys, they're just not being killed. This army is not being stopped. It's taken Rogue an eternity to slowly chip away at it. And his counterattack's not doing anything either. Now, a few more Locusts dropping in. We'll get a couple more of these unit kills toward the end here, so that's something. See the income just switching into favor of MARU as well over the last little while. Muta Corrupt are going to dive in for the battle cruisers. The battle cruisers will just sit here and fight, and again, you just don't do the damage quick enough. So Rogue, I mean, you're just forcing these to teleport away, but you're losing so many units in the process. I mean, this is just kind of brutal, right? You're going to lose every single Mutalisk. I mean, not that Mutas are maybe necessarily so great anymore at this stage of the game, but what you're going to rebuild, you're kind of out of money, and that's the issue towards the end here. Rogue is not quite able to do this. Looks like MARU might have Team NV on his back for the moment. I won't lie, I was out of hope when this series, or when these two games started, but MARU is so far doing what he needs to. Rogue is running out of time in this game, only 57 drones. His army is, I mean, it's kind of just swarm hosts, right, and roaches. It's not good if MARU can get across and take a proper fight. Ravages going down, they are expensive, and they are things that Rogue just cannot really afford to rebuild at this stage. We're going to lose the bottom right-hand corner of the map. You know, Rogue obviously played a weird style against this, playing the mutas and the swarm hosts is not what you usually see nowadays. For a while it was kind of going alright, but there was just that one push that he was never able to clean up. This attack actually went pretty well for Rogue. He got a bunch of Thors there before these BCs show up as well. I gotta say, I think these BCs must have a ton of kills on them because they have just been relentless throughout the game. And I do think in part again, that's why you don't want to build mutas against the BCs. They've had so much control. They've defended, they've been aggressive, they've been all over the place. And Rogue's just never had an answer to the battle cruisers, right? Like, he's never had a way to properly deal with them, and that's the issue. Well, I was going to see the Ravage continue through a few more corrosive bars up in the sky, and a lot of SCVs going down on the counterattack. Maru is actually taking a lot of damage here. Rogue obviously losing some drones of his own, but now these Locusts are going to come down. Obviously, this base can lift off, so you don't really want to land the Locusts on this orbital because you're just not going to actually get damage out of it. And once more, you see Maru starting to move across the map, and again, the same questions we have had previously. Can you deal with this army? Well, last time Maru had a major push across the map, the answer was yes, but it took me 6 minutes, and because it took Rogue 5 minutes or so, it actually took him way too long, and he lost the... I thought he lost the game because of it, but he's still here fighting. He is going to lose this hatchery. No cancel either, so obviously just very busy elsewhere. There's a lot going on at the moment. Let's see, our swarm hosts are setting up. And get ready to go once again, firing forward and making a move into this army. The Thors having to be careful and back it up just a little bit, so being cautious there. There is maxed out, and obviously again trying to make this mech army as effective as possible, trying to do whatever he can with it as we take a few cyclones to the left hand side. He's going to try and find some damage on Rogue's bases and shut down these bases. That goes well. Rogue actually doesn't get a bad fight. Again, Rogue's been trailing for quite a while at this stage, but he's still making something of it, and he is trading out, and he's got the Locusts again on the bottom side of the map. They are going to strike here shortly, and I'm sure they will have some moderate success. This time they're really going to probably get on top of the Thors. Can they get some kills? A couple of Hellions there just do so much damage to those units, so it hurts a lot. Roach Ravager gets caught with the scan, so the burrow doesn't work at all either. We pop back up, but obviously a lot of value from the Cyclones there. PCs once again teleporting away, getting their Yamato's off. Rogue does not have the supply anymore, guys. He is not going to be able to shut this down. He is not going to be able to stop Maru. And, I mean, he got the initial 2-0, but Maru's going to 2-0 him back. Isn't it fun just how different... I feel like this is such a fun comparison. Rogue wins on Glitter and Ashes, then he wins on Berlingrad, and then Maru wins on Berlingrad, and then he wins on Glitter and Ashes. You know, basically just says, hey, look, you know, I can absolutely just, you know, just both same players, same maps, an hour apart. Completely different results. Obviously different games as well. This mech play from Maru continues to be probably some of the best mech play in the world. Let's be realistic, as Roaches and Lings move forward there. They're not going to do too well. Rogue really is just trying to survive with anything he can, but it feels like he's just making worse and worse years. The Swarm hosts are going to, what, body block for the Roaches to come in? I mean, Maru's going to preemptively scan to try and... Oh my god, I mean, Rogue is doing anything to try and survive. There's the GG. Maru is going to get it done with a little bit of mech. He ain't going to give it up just yet. Maru gets a 2-0 over Rogue. GG's makes it happen. Maru can't play all. He can if he just doesn't lose a map from here on out. If he goes 6-0 from here on out, he wins the whole thing without anyone else. But if he goes 2-0, 2-0, which he must do, and then only 1-1 at the end, then someone else has to come out for the last best of one. Maru in the top left-hand corner has to put on Pride of Altaris. This was the predetermined map for this series. In the bottom right, Dark is looking to take advantage of it. He needs one map win to win the championship for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. He did just that back when they won their last championship. He all killed bar one map. Brave Star Gaming back then, Dream, Scarlet, and Cyan. And Dark get the one map win he needs right here today. He had a convincing game against Bjorn. Well, no. He actually had a pretty... The first game against Bjorn, he actually do feel like he was losing in, but then he got one Nidus up and he got it back. Second game, he got bullied around and did lose, so he only went 1-1. Like I say, I think this more than any... I actually don't know. If it was a different map, I don't think we go Dark. I think you go Dark simply for the fact it's Pride of Altaris. Simply for the fact it's Pride you play Dark. Otherwise, I would have probably picked somebody else. As it gets set up. And we do have ourselves the Hatch, Gas, and Pool coming up from Dark. As we see the first Reaper is on the way now. On the other side, so... Maru, obviously you just played a mech game. Do we play mech again? Or do we maybe think about something different here? It's also a fairly reasonable question, right? It's definitely a reasonable choice that you have there. Oh, which exactly you should pick in this scenario, to be honest. If it moves out into the center, a couple of queens and a few zerglings will continue up. Still bringing those along, and just going to be having our command center coming through. Factory is on the way up from Maru as well. As we get all of this settled down, the Reaper comes down to the bottom right-hand side also. Try and see what's going on. Just going to put a little bit of damage out onto that first drone as the zerglings come through. The Reaper gets chased out of here. For the early game, I think really is the question of just do we see mech or do we see bio? Maru, for a while, he even 3-racks on this map. He's going to go 3cc to start, by the way, so he is going to show us at least a very macro-focused opening. Makes sense for the size of the map. There's a couple of drones chasing from Dark, and he's just taking his third hatchery. And of course, Dark likes to mix up his styles a whole bunch as well, right? So it's not like we just... It's not like we just kind of know what Dark's going to do either. Like, Dark could really come out with a whole bundle of things here as well, so that should also be a fun question. As we see a second gas, a starport in the back, and that already feels like we're looking to hide the fact that we're going into something of a BC opening here. Couple extra Hellions on the way out. The Viking is producing from Maru, and we are going to see a third gas on the low ground. Oh, we're going to see a fusion core. I guess not, otherwise we would have probably started it already. So no fusion core, probably no mech then. Plain and simple. I mean, mech without a BC opening is very difficult to play. It really gives the Zerg a little bit too much freedom. You don't force Corruptors out. You don't, basically the Zerg can just max out on the ground, and that becomes very tough to overcome as the Terran player. Also just takes away your own potential harassment, etc. So, yeah, typically you don't see that as a factor. Viking starting to ping its way through this Overlord, which is taking a good amount of damage itself. It's going to go down, so Overlord falls. Fusion Core still coming up. The Lings and the OVs in production from Dark. The Queen and the Evolution Chambers on the way as well. All that's still coming up then. So we have got our Reaper heading down to the bottom right corner. And a few of the Lings just out down to the south side as well. He's also just going to get set up there. And, well, there's Viking making its way to the south. Early upgrade star. And we have got a Fusion Core, by the way, behind the Viking. So it was kind of a delayed Fusion Core. But for, like I say, post-Viking production. So it looks like we probably do see mech. The second gas on the naturals taken. So that's 4 gases in total. DC, mech, and right now Doc is setting up into melee upgrades, which is obviously not how you want to be playing against someone going mech. Now, he can transition out of it, but obviously finding out it's mech is going to be step number 1. really do not want to waste your chance here on Pride of Altaris by obviously just being caught off guard by a BC and the fact it's mech, and then you just can't get back in the game. So, see what happens as our extra factories start to build. The mech play gets confirmed. And Dark, what we're going to do about it? Hellions back around the side. Dark's try and take the gold base. So we're just going to try and take advantage of that. Obviously, one of the other reasons why this map is very good for Zerg is you can get the freaking gold base, right? So you can get the gold base. That's obviously very good for you. The Zergling does run on over. A couple of Hellions. I get a couple of kills right there as well. And back around into the center here. A couple of armories still coming up. Roach Roaring Infestation coming through. This BC gonna fly in overhead. It's gonna sit up here and just gonna go start working its way through this hatchery. So Hatch gonna start taking quite a lot of damage. It's gonna be dropping down soon. So hatchery dies. A drone gets picked up. And this Fueling's now gonna run in and go after a whole bunch of SCVs. So SCV's taking quite some damage as well. 3 SCVs going down. 4, 5 SCVs going down. Good counterattack. I mean, this is what you want to be doing. Getting across the map, dealing some damage. We're going to put a Nidus network down, and a Roach Roaring was in production too. We're going to go +2 missile, +2 melee and +1 missile. So that's Dark's adjustment for it being mech, compared to the initial just straight up pure melee upgrades, melee and carapace. So still wants the melee upgrade. And like I said, we'll start to introduce roaches. And like, just also the early Nidus really has some potential to do damage, I suppose. If you can get into a good position, or even if he just wants to kind of rush across the map. I'm trying to think, because obviously there's no Spire here from Dark, right? Wow, he's just going to infest... He's just going to go Swarm Hosts. Really? We're going to go Swarm Hosts with the BCs on the map? The BCs are meant to be such a good way to deny the Swarm Hosts. This is why Swarm Hosts play fell out of fashion, because BC mech became the, the mainstay of the mech plays. So why are we building a Swarm Host now? What is it that DPG Zergs think is good about these Swarm Hosts? I don't know right now. I'm very interested to see. First Night is obviously on the left-hand side. I mean, the surprise factor probably more than anything for Maru, who Swarm Host at this point in the game, unexpected for sure. But once you know about the potential of Nidus and so on, I mean, I don't imagine that this is something you just don't respond to and make some adjustments for. There we go, Queens and Swarm Host popping out, and just going to be seeing the Locust popping right there. They're going to go up in toward the natural expansion, so they make their first move. Starting to drop down. Obviously, Hellions are going to have to be one of the real buffers against these Locusts. Will really need Blue Flame. Blue Flame really cleans up the Locust that much faster, of course. The Armada Cannons on the way up as well. That weapon refit upgrade for our battle cruisers. So bringing that into play also right now is just going to be seeing our BCs flying back. Dark has got Maru somewhat on the defensive, but again, it's with an army that's overall not the greatest at straight up fights. So you've got your opponent on the defensive, holding back, but eventually Maru will likely find a way across the map. And once that happens, you're going to have a plan, as you're all going to spread these Locusts out. That's really nice. You're going to get a couple of the tanks on the low ground. Yeah, this was good. He gets I don't think he gets any SCVs actually, but 2 tanks on the low ground. It just means the Hellbats don't have one sole location to move into to defend the Locusts. They are pretty spread out themselves. It definitely is a factor. We're still setting up BCs around the right-hand side. The Roach is getting chased away. Interesting through. Now just going to be seeing the Locusts making their way in toward the natural expansion. So in they go. SR turret's taking some hits. The Locusts still continuing through. Here comes the Ling Ravager up the right-hand side. Going to move on forward. This is the burst attempt from Dark to try and just close this out. The BCs are off to the right side. They're not in position to defend. And Maru is losing his SCVs. He's losing his 3rd base. Oh, Dark has actually found a really cool little timing here. And I just don't understand why the BCs were so far off to the right side. Well, that's a problem. The Queens here are going to try and fight against them. There are Corruptors coming up behind this as Queens are in range of tanks. That's not going to help. Roach Ravager Ling going to try and move up this ramp as well. As in we go. Dark looking to win the championship for Dragon Phoenix Gaming right here. He's going to try and put a hatchery in Maru's natural, but it doesn't even get a chance to go up as Dark will crown Dragon Phoenix Gaming as the champions of the World Team League Winter. Gee, what an attack.